Okay, so now what we want to do now is this. We want to make sure that we use this useStae here to ensure that each time we click on this button, this pop-up will hide. But first of all, let it not show at all. So that is why we created this state here. So it's going to be a false. Then we're now going to move to our pop-up here. We are going to use inline styling. So let's do that. So we are going to add style, and why are we using this? We are using this because the inline styling has more specificity than the external or internal style or internal CSS. So any CSS we do it here will override the one that is being done with this one. So what we are going to do now is we're going to add display, and if we say none, you notice what happens now is going to disappear. So I think I have to refresh this. This is my display where display none. So that's why it's always good to check. So you see now displaying, but I want it to show based on a condition, based on whether the toggle is true or false. So I have to put here the toggle, use my ternary operator. So if it is true, I want it to show block, but if it is false just as it is now, I want it to show none. So if I do this, I go to my browser, you see it's not showing now. So the next thing now is to add a click event listener to this, so that when I click here, it's going to open the pop-up. So let's do that. So I'll come here, I'll add an event listener, add not that on click, which is a click event listener. Then I'll add my event object just in case if I use it. So here I'm going to add a function called handle toggle. So let's create this function above, unless React to find out us because that wasn't declared. So I'll come here and I'll say function handle toggle. Yes, that's right. So I'll now use set toggle, and I'm going to use the optimized version, so to not previous. So whatever value the toggle is, so if it is true, it will change it to false. If it's false, change it to true. Just toggle, just as the name implies. So let's test this out. So if I click on this hamburger menu here, you see it changes. If I click outside, nothing happens, but if I click on it again, it closes it. That is nice. And by the way, this clickable icon that is showing is due to the CSS which I just added. So let me show you that. So the CSS is this. For the li tags, I added a CSS for all the anchor tag, which is the list of cursor pointer. Then for the hamburger menu, which is menu, so let's go to the mobile parts, which is menu, the cursor of pointer, so that it makes it indicates to the user that this is actually clickable. Now if you use the right tag which is the anchor tag and the button tag. It has this by default, but because we are not using those by default, that's why we have this. So it now makes this to look like as if it's clickable. Now this one that is not this, see, it's not clickable. Okay, so if you notice, if I click here, it shows, it goes to shop, home, but this guy has to close each time we click any of this. So that is easy. All we need to do is to go to our list for our pop-up. Remember, we've separated it with a comment, so it is here. So I need to add, so I just copied it just to be fast, not to waste time. Ctrl C. I'll come to this point here, I'll add it, then I'll come to this point here too, I'll add it. So if I do that and go back, notice that when I click on home, it disappears and it takes me to home. So if I click on shop, you see it takes me to shop and it disappears. And if I click on this too, it does the same thing, but remember this thing goes nowhere, so that's why it just closes. Then if I click on this, because it's not clickable, you see it remains the same. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do now is, if we click outside this box here, anywhere outside this menu, see, anywhere outside this menu, you should close this box. So let's do that. So we are going to do that using the event listener for the Windows object. This will look similar to our vanilla JavaScript, but you're going to do that inside the use effect. Now if you're doing React, if you want to add an event listener, not the React way but the vanilla JavaScript way, you need to use the event listener. And this is also very important. If you are using Nest.js too, you must use the event, must use the use effect. So use effect, no, not that, use effect, like so. So notice that has been automatically imported at the top. Then I'll write it the use effect way, hit enter, and I want this to run only once, but actually to not run only once because I added an event listener to the Windows object. So it's like it's going to persist after this time. But if it was a function call, or well, yes, if it was a function call that I want to repeat, or like can fetch an API, then it's not going to persist. But because it's an event listener, it's going to persist. So that is just an exception. So this empty dependency area is meant to run whatever is inside this use effect only once, but this is an exception. So you're going to add the Windows dot add event listener. So the window now is everything that we can see on our screen here, actually within the body tag. It's part of the Windows object. So add event listener, and the type of event listener I want to add is click. Then I need my anonymous function, and I'll put the event object because we are going to use it. So I'll put here console.log e.target.class name. So anywhere I click on within the body tag, I'm going to be seeing the class name. So if it has a class name, it's going to show me. Doesn't have, but this one has, so it shows me menu. So the condition I want to add is, if I click on anywhere apart from the menu, it should do what? It should hide it. So this part is not part of the menu, so if I click it, it should hide it. So let's do that. So we'll just do a simple if statement here. So if, so I'll just like to copy this, just not to waste time. Ctrl C. Then I'll come here. I like to use string because sometimes if you want to chain, because if I want to do dots in what I want to do now, it might not work, but this one always works for me. So the string dot includes, and okay, that is not an issue now. So includes menu. So if it does not include menu, so let me add that, then we want it to set the toggle to what? To false. So we will not be using the optimized version here because we don't want it to toggle. Now if we use the optimized version, see what happens. So I'll use that one. So I'll use set toggle, then the previous, then this, then not prev. So this is the optimized version. Now the optimized version of the set of the useStae function, it prefers a function rather than just putting the variable like this, or rather just putting the value like this. So this is the optimized version. So what happened now is if I click outside of here, this is going to close, but if I click it again, it's going to open, and this is not what we want in our web page. We just want, when we click outside of here, it should close and only opens when we click here. So that is why we're not going to use the optimized version. So just to keep things simple, I'll just put a false here. So this is it. So if I click here, it closes. Notice if I click here again, it doesn't open. So I click here, it opens. I click on, it's on shop now. So if I click on home, it takes me to home and it closes it. So that is it for this video, and using the actual design here. So I believe with this now you can actually do the design here. So let's wait for this to load. So if I go to the cart, I think the place will add to cart. This is the blog, so we are far away from it. So let's move front. So if by using these functionalities here that we just did here now, we can actually mimic that. So click this, and by the way, let's remove the console.log so that it doesn't populate or mess up the console. Remember, when you're done testing any functionality, you comment at the console.log. If you add that in your production file, it might slow down your React app. So it's always advised you remove it. So just to be sure, I've commented that out, and this works fine. So I believe with this you can achieve a similar design like this. So when the user clicks on the cart icon, is going to show the pop-up. Then if the user clicks on, or maybe cart here or checkout, or this, is going to close this and move to the next, or move to the appropriate page or appropriate component. Then if the user click outside here, it should disappear. So that is it, my friends, and that's how we end today's class. And if there's any question, I will entertain them in the next class. So thank you very much, and see you in the next video.